When we speak of relaxation, most think of rest, a body at ease, or a moment of quiet after a long day. Yet in the deeper sense, relaxation is not simply the stilling of the body, but the release of struggle in the mind. It is the conscious act of letting go of tension, doubt, and resistance so that the infinite power within can flow unimpeded. We live in a world where effort is glorified. From an early age, we are told that we must work harder and push stronger if we are to achieve what we want. And so, many chase their desires with clenched fists, weary minds, and restless hearts. But the truth is this: what you seek is not attained by force, but by alignment. Relaxation is the doorway to alignment. When you relax, you quiet the storm of thought that argues for limitation. You silence the voices of fear that whisper, "It cannot be done." In that quiet, you return to your natural state, the state of wholeness, the state of completion. In the stillness of relaxation, you discover that what you long for is already here. Your desires are not things you must chase into the future. They are states of being already alive within you, waiting for recognition. When you relax, you step into the awareness of already having. Consider this: a seed does not strain to become a tree. It does not struggle, nor does it worry about the process. It simply rests in the soil, and by its very nature, it unfolds into what it is destined to be. In the same way, your desire, once planted in the fertile soil of imagination, requires no force, no desperate action. It requires your calm trust, your relaxed acceptance, and your willingness to allow the process of life to do what it does best: bring forth creation. Relaxation does not mean inactivity. It means inspired activity. It means moving without the weight of fear. It means allowing life to flow, rather than attempting to drag life forward by your own hands. When you are relaxed, your steps are guided. Ideas come effortlessly. Opportunities appear naturally, and your energy becomes magnetic. The world outside of you is a mirror, faithfully reflecting the beliefs, assumptions, and feelings you carry within. If you believe the world is against you, life will show you evidence to confirm it. If you carry the conviction that life is for you, that abundance is your natural state, then the outer world rearranges itself to display just that. Too often, people attempt to fix their lives by wrestling with circumstances. They fight conditions, argue with appearances, and become frustrated when change seems slow. But this is like shouting at the reflection in the mirror, demanding it smile before you do. It is backward. The reflection cannot change until the face before the mirror changes first. If you want your relationships to transform, shift the way you see yourself within them. If you want wealth, live inwardly in the feeling of already being provided for. If you want health, assume within that wholeness is already yours. Then the outer must conform. The inner world is the cause. The outer is the effect. You are not a victim of appearances. You are the author of appearances. Every event, every circumstance, every encounter is drawn to you by the energy you radiate from within. When you understand this truth, life stops being a battle. It becomes an art. Instead of trying to manipulate the shadows, you paint the image in your heart and watch the world reflect it back to you. Imagination is not idle fantasy. It is the creative power of life itself, clothed in pictures and feelings within your mind. Everything you see around you, every invention, every achievement, every creation of man, was first born in imagination. The chair you sit on, the device you hold, the buildings that surround you, none of these existed until someone imagined them. Imagination is the seed, and reality is its harvest. What you dare to imagine with feeling, you set in motion. When you create a scene in the theater of your mind and enter into it as though it were real, you plant a seed in the unseen realm. That seed, once impressed upon the subconscious, must grow and push itself into expression. The world may call it daydreaming, but the dreamer knows it is destiny in its earliest form. Just as surely as an acorn contains the oak, your imagined scene contains its fulfillment. The key is to imagine not as a distant hope, but as a present fact. Feel it real. Walk in the inner world as though we're already done. When you do, your subconscious accepts it as truth, and life reorganizes itself to make it visible. You need not know the process any more than a gardener needs to know the mechanics of growth. Your role is to sow the seed faithfully and nurture it with belief. The invisible will handle the rest. Faith is the great liberator, for it removes the burden of figuring out life. The moment you truly believe that your desire is already yours, you are free from the endless questions of how will this happen, or when will it come? Faith answers, it already has, and it will show itself in perfect time. The mind wants control. It demands proof. It seeks timelines. It craves certainty in form. But faith is the certainty in essence. It is knowing, beyond logic, that what you have assumed is reality, though it has not yet touched your senses. When you hold faith, you walk differently. You no longer chase signs or beg for results. You move with the quiet assurance of one who knows the outcome is secured. You rest, you trust, and in that rest, the invisible forces of life align everything in your favor. Think of the farmer. He does not plant a seed today and dig it up tomorrow and panic, asking, "Why haven't you sprouted yet?" He trusts the unseen process. He waters, he waits, and he knows the harvest is inevitable. That is faith. Your work is not to force the manifestation, but to remain faithful to the state of fulfillment. The how will surprise you, the when will delight you, but both are not your concern. Yours is only to assume, believe, and persist in the inner knowing that it is done. Impossibility is nothing more than a label given by doubt. It is the voice of fear wearing the mask of reason, telling you that what you desire cannot be, simply because it has not yet been seen. But everything new, everything extraordinary, everything history calls impossible was once only a belief in the mind of someone who dared to accept it as real. The truth is simple. There is no impossibility except the one you entertain. The moment you stop agreeing with limitation, it loses all power. When you accept your desire as real within, impossibility dissolves. You no longer measure your dream against appearances. You no longer shrink because others cannot see it. You live in the end, and in doing so, you prove that the impossible is only the unaccepted. Consider flight. There was a time when men believed the sky was not for human beings. Impossible, they said. Yet two brothers refused that label. They imagined flight, they lived in its possibility, and they brought it into form. Today, what was once impossible is an everyday fact. So too with you. Whatever dream seems out of reach, whatever vision seems too bold, understand it is only impossible to the degree that you doubt it. Accept it inwardly, live it inwardly, and life will conspire to make it outwardly true. Every so-called miracle is simply the natural outworking of someone's refusal to accept limitation. Fulfillment is not a chance. It is a certainty. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the outcome is sealed. Life itself begins to weave together circumstances, events, and encounters to bring to you that which you already are within. You may not see how the path will unfold, but that is no matter. You need only hold the end, and the means will appear. Rivers change course. People shift. Opportunities arise. Everything bends to reflect the state you have chosen. To doubt is to delay, but to believe is to accelerate. When you live as though it is already done, you draw it near. When you remain faithful to the inner reality, the outer must bow to it. Fulfillment is inevitable because the law of life is reflection. What is impressed upon the subconscious must be expressed. Just as surely as night follows day, the inner conviction will produce the outer fact. So rest in assurance. Carry the joy now, not later. Walk as though you are already who you desire to be, and watch how swiftly life echoes back your certainty. The harvest cannot be withheld from the one who has already claimed it within. It is done. It is yours. And in time, you will see before your eyes what you have long seen within your heart.